What's up, everybody? Welcome to CFP Talks. My name is Joe Nissim. With me, as always, is my main man, Mr. David Fuchs. David, how are we?
Very, very good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. CFP is over for July. So we get started and start looking forward to November, which is wonderful.
Hmm.
Um, last week and I should say over the last couple weeks, we have been talking about why you failed.
Why you failed, what you could do differently, how you move forward.
Correct. And I think, kind of to put the punctuation on this topic is, and I've been hearing a lot of this as, after the exam ends is typically where I chat with the most amount of people, especially in these next week or two. And one of the things I keep hearing is, how much was I supposed to do? Like I did 300 hours, Joe. Like I don't know what more I needed to do. I did that recommended number, right? I did 200 hours. I put it 250 freaking hours. Like, what else do you want from me? And, obviously you kind of hear, you know, the anger, the disappointment, the hurt in people's voice when they're saying that because you're going, wow, like you clearly put in effort. You've
Yeah,
clearly put in time.
for sure.
Why do you think people feel this way at the end of an exam? Did you feel this way at any point with not just CFP, but any
I'm,
exam for that matter?
yeah, the first time I took the exam, I, yes and no, because we talked about it before about kind of having that imposter syndrome slash like it almost seemed too easy. The first time I took it and I didn't pass, I did also kind of feel like, you know what, going into it, I was like, there's no way I did enough because all I did was read the book and do the quizzes after. It can't be that simple. So, like, I didn't really, but at the same time, I do remember putting in a lot of hours for that exam. And, and then when I started up with you the next time, I realized, this is how much work you have to do to pass this exam. But I also remember saying to myself, like, damn, how much fucking work does it take to pass this exam? Why is it so hard to pass this thing?
That is the question, right? It's how much work does it take to do it? Do you really got to do all that, right?
Right.
Is it
Exactly.
really necessary?
Like, is it really necessary? Do I really have to do all that work? I
Like,
mean, like, damn, just to pass an exam to put a couple letters next to my name. I'm like,
yeah, like I'm gonna learn it when I learn it. Like I learn it on the job. I'll learn it from clients. Why I gotta
right.
learn now? Great points. But that's a bit of a defeatist attitude.
That is totally a defeatist attitude. If you have that attitude, I mean, listen, I get it though. Like after you fail the exam and you put in a lot of work, and whether you actually did or not, most people think they did, and whether you did or not is not the question. You're gonna leave that testing center saying like you're gonna tell yourself you did all you could, and you're not really sure exactly what else you could have done. So it's a natural feeling to feel after you fail this exam. Like, how
For
much more
sure.
was I supposed to do? I studied for 3 months. I stayed up till midnight every single night.
All right.
I took the week off before the exam. I paid thousands of dollars for prep classes and stuff. You're gonna be saying to yourself, what in the world do I possibly need to do?
But it's relative because I will tell you, if your only experience previous to the CFP is FINRA exams and that's the longest exam you've ever taken, then
Yeah.
that's your frame of reference. So your frame of reference is Series 7 125 questions, CFP 170. I studied 100 hours for Series 7, so 130, 140.
Right.
That seems like
Yeah.
enough, right?
Totally.
And obviously these are not the same, they're not even in the same category because they're completely different exams. So, but again, if that's your only frame of reference, you're going to think that you did enough.
Yeah.
If I get
Yep.
somebody who just did 3 levels of CFA, they come to CFP and they going, wow, this is a joke. I didn't, this was so easy because they've just put in probably anywhere between 9 and 1,500 hours of study into passing CFA. So again, relatively speaking, some people are going to look at it and go, wow, that's such a joke. And some people are going to go, oh my God, this is the worst exam. Again, your frame of reference matters.
Yeah.
That's all well and good. But the reality of it is that you need to take the exam seriously. And because I have had people who took CFA go, wow, this is such a joke. It's not even that much of material. Go in and fail. Why? Why is that happen? Well, and I have people who their only frame of reference is Series 7. They start to realize, oh my God, this is a much bigger exam. Go in and pass on the first time. Well, how
Uh-huh.
is it two people? Well, we don't hold somebody like, think about it. Like if we were to kind of put this in medical terms, it's like here's somebody who's a MD versus somebody who is an ENT or
Yeah.
has their first responders license or something like that. And you're saying, well, yeah, the MD is obviously going to clearly know what they're doing. And so doesn't matter. Everybody has to take this exam seriously, regardless of your frame of reference. I
Yes.
don't give a shit who you are and what you've done in the past. You have to treat this exam with the diligence that it requires. And this is the biggest fallacy that's out there. You're going to hit some magic number hour of studying, and
And you're
all of a sudden, you're going to get every question right.
right.
What
Exactly.
planet are we living on, guys? Come on now. Like that's insane. Like I'm gonna do it and I'm gonna just magically, I'm gonna look at the questions and I'm gonna be able to break it down with no problems. B, C, D. Look at me. I just got 40 questions in a row, right? It's a wonderful fallacy. It's like I get it. I want to be Bradley Cooper in that movie where he took that pill and he learned how to speak Italian in 3 days. I want to be that too. Trust me, if I could find a way to get that pill, David, as you know, I would find a way. If I could find an Adderall that didn't have side effects, I'd do it. But that's not what the world that we live in. The reality of it is that the numbers don't matter. If it takes you 150 hours to get to the through the material and understand it and be able to do something with it, great. If that's 200, it's 200. If it's 250, it's 250. That number doesn't matter, but it's more likely that it's going to be more than what you think.
It, definitely more. The hours thing is complete bogus, in my opinion. I don't think the hours, it doesn't matter. They could tell you could do 5,000 hours, or they could tell you could do it in 50 hours. It's all about the person and how much they put in and what they actually got out of those hours. Like, so I always
Correct.
thought the hours was kind of BS. So like, yeah, no, the course, they say, you should do about 150. So like, I'm going to do about 150 and like, I should be good enough to pass. I always thought like, you're a sheep, like you're a complete sheep. Like, how are you going to go by like the hours, what they tell you to do per hour or based on hours and like, think like, are you that simple minded? Like, come on, like think like, don't like think
Right.
about
Yeah. And it's a great point. Like, don't go in, again, it's a guideline. It's not a hard and fast rule. Like, again, you're not going to reach a certain number of hours. And again, the thing is that the CFP doesn't care how many hours you put in. When I took CFA, I used to say it all the time. Oh my God, I studied so much. I put in so many hours. The CFA doesn't give a shit.
No, it
I
doesn't.
needed to do what was required to pass the test. And you're right, David. Some of those hours were not good hours.
Right, exactly. It's not, yeah, just like, oh, yep. I I put in my 150, like I should pass now. That has no indication. I bet
Zero.
I bet if you did some type of study, to show correlation between hours studying and passing results. I mean, listen, I'm sure that the more hours people did, yeah, there's probably like somewhat of a correlation, but I bet you the looking beyond the numbers would tell you a lot more than just looking at a straight bell curve.
That's right. Correlation is not causation, right? So correlation is certainly not causation, which really means that just because you put in more hours, and I'll give you a great example of this. There was a student that came to me in March, right after the March exam. He had just gone through the Dalton program. Young guy, just graduated Ohio State last year. And he's like, I want to take the CFP. I'd like to take it in July. And I was like, I don't think that's a good idea. I think you should wait until November. And then he ended up taking July anyway. And again, you can't fault this guy. I mean, he put in tons and tons of hours. He did the right thing in terms of that, but it requires more than that. It's not
Yeah.
based just on the numbers because he had a colleague that's been in the industry for 30 years, studied 100 hours and passed.
Yeah.
And you got to, and I reminded him, I was like, that person has seen a lot more. So then actually understanding what the CFP was asking, he might have seen quite a bit of that in his career. So there is a bit to that that's really, really helpful. So you got to remember that if you've gone through it and you've actually done some of the work with clients over time, that's a
Yeah.
really good teacher,
Yeah.
better
No
than the
doubt.
books.
Totally.
But, you got to remember that learning for all of us works in very different ways, very, very different ways. So, as always, guys, we hope that you found this video helpful. With any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to reach out to David or myself, and we will see you guys in our next episode.